Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Assalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi rasulillahi ajma'in. First of all, let we praise and thank to Allah that give us healthy and bless we all. And don't forget to send a salawat and salam to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam with saying Allahumma sholli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad, that bring us from the darkness into the lightness. Okay, hi everyone, I'm Siti Nurhayani. You can call me Yani. I'm a college student of English Teaching Department, class TBI 3C in EIN Batu Sangkar. In this video, I'm going to tell you about listening to education. Actually, I have heard some audio from podcasts and YouTube, so that I will explain again to you what I have heard before about listening to education. I hope you get what I mean and you can apply the indicators that I will tell you later. Okay, let's see. Listening to education. Okay, when heard this sentence, what's come into your mind? Let's brainstorming. Maybe in your mind will appear some question like what is listening to education? What's the purpose of listening to education? And how is the way listening to education? Okay, let's find the answer. Listening to education is activities listening to audio or audio conversation about issues related to education, like online class, seminar, investigation, study tour, and etc. That's anything about education. Next, what the purpose of listening to education? For sure, we can increase our ability in listening, and we can get more insight, and we can increase our other skill like our vocabulary or our grammar and etc. It is a very profitable. Last but not least, how is the way listening to education? Actually, it's easy. You just need more concentration and full focus. When you're listening audio, you just concentration and focus. That's it. And the media that can you use to listening to education is like podcasts, radio, cassette, or recording. Okay, let's go to the example. I will listen to you the podcast of listening to education that I have heard before, and I will on the podcast for several minutes. Let's listen.
Today I want to talk about the learners. Only the learner learns. I heard that a few weeks ago while listening to a podcast with Zaretta Hammond, the author of Culturally Responsive Teaching and the Brain, speak with Jennifer Gonzalez. Jennifer Gonzalez hosts the podcast Pedagogy and has a corresponding blog, and I definitely listen to her and read what she has to say a lot, so check her out if you're interested. Anyway, let's Let's get back to that learning. Only the learner learns. It got me thinking. Only the learner learns? Only the learner learns? We take what we hear, read, and see, and interpret in our own ways. So here's my interpretation of that statement. If we want our students to be doing the learning, we have to help them become the learners. What can we, the adults, do to provide them, the students, with the opportunity to be the learners and do the learning? I've been mulling this over for the past few weeks as I've thought about distance learning this fall and the messages that we want to send families regarding how to best support their children at home. And I've come up with just a few ideas. The first, set them up. The second, walk away and let the learner learn. So let's talk a little bit about that setup. Help your child develop their learning space, schedule, and provide them with the materials they need. During distance learning, if you can't provide the materials in your home, help your child get set up by reaching out to your school or classroom teacher and letting the school know that you need some help. The school will respond, and part of the setup is helping your child have what they need. So think about it now. Part of the setup is planning. A few weeks ago, at my house, we bought my daughter a desk for distance learning. Within 2 hours of my husband putting it together, she had all her art supplies all over the desk. Yesterday, we had a long, heated, and heavy conversation. Okay, let's talk about it. It was really a fight about what should be on her desk during her school day. We talked a lot about seashells and special rocks being in her pencil box. Are these things that she would normally have in her pencil box at school? Is every art supply in the classroom available at her workspace all the time? Should there be toys out in the place where she is doing her work? You're probably a parent or educator if you're listening to this, so I imagine you get it. Part of the setup is helping your child be in the most optimal space that they can be in right now to do the learning. So I suggest parents consider their situation. Is it better to have a visual or paper schedule for your child to cross things off the list? In my house, my husband and I are both working out of the home, so we are managing this distance learning situation with a part-time nanny and relying on friends to help us a few days a week. This level of management will require organization from all.
From the podcast I know that the podcast tell about the tips for starting school during distance learning. Yeah, the speaker give listeners a few tips for starting school during distance learning. Or we know that the online class, it's like the situation, right? Yes, it's because the speaker uploaded the podcast on 2 September this year. Okay, back to topic. Because I just listened to you the podcast several minutes, I'll explain to you what speaker tell on podcast. But before, let me tell you the title on the podcast that is Only the Learner Learn. Okay, the speaker say that every student have to be join a learning and we help them become a learner. What can we? The speaker say that every student has opportunity to be a learner and to learning. So, what should you do? First of all, you should set them up. It means you can guide their to program schedule. You can help them to find a material. You can give them a assignment or you can give their quiz. But the important thing that you have to do that is you have to set a time. So they have a good schedule to learning and they can be a learner learn. The last one is walk away and let them learner learn. If you success to the tips one, so they will get used to. So they will autonomous to learn. They learn and you can do anything what you want. They can be productively in this situation. They can learn very good because they are learner. As hard as it may be, walk away and let your learner learn. Okay, that's all I explained back from the podcast that I have heard before. I hope you can understand and thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. See you in next video. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.